I never imagined I'd be telling a story like this, but here we are. My name's Daniel, and I've lived in Oakwood Heights for almost 5 years. It's one of those spotless suburban neighborhoods where the grass is trimmed to military precision, every mailbox matches, and the biggest excitement is when someone plants the wrong color tulips. Honestly, I liked it that way. Peaceful, predictable, clean. That peace ended the day I met Barbara Thompson, though everyone in the neighborhood just called her Bob the Clipboard Queen. She wasn't technically royalty, but you'd never know it. She strutted around Oakwood like she owned the place, heels clicking, blouse crisp, and her platinum blonde hair pulled so tight it could have doubled as a drumhead. Her favorite accessory wasn't jewelry. It was a clipboard loaded with HOA violation forms. She carried that thing like it was a badge of power. And unfortunately, she decided I was her next target. A few months ago, I slipped in my kitchen and badly injured my back. Ended up needing surgery and a long recovery. My doctor sent a home care nurse named Sarah to help 3 times a week. She was an absolute angel, calm, patient, and professional. She always parked neatly in my driveway, came in with a kind smile, and helped me with my physical therapy. Everything was fine until Barbara noticed Sarah's car. That Tuesday afternoon, the doorbell started ringing nonstop. Ding, 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 like someone was trying to break the button. I hobbled to the door, wincing from the pain. And there she was, Barbara, clipboard in hand, that disapproving frown etched into her face. "Excuse me," she said in a tone that could freeze boiling water. "There's an unauthorized vehicle in your driveway." I blinked at her. "That's my nurse's car. She's here to help me recover from back surgery." Barbara raised one of her precisely plucked eyebrows. "Well, according to HOA Regulation 7.4.2, no commercial vehicles are allowed in residential driveways during daylight hours." I took a deep breath, fighting the urge to laugh. "It's not a commercial vehicle, it's a personal car." Barbara's lips twisted into a self-satisfied smirk. "It has a company logo on the door. That makes it commercial. Move it now, or it's a $100 fine per day." Before I could respond, Sarah walked up behind me. "Is everything all right?" she asked gently. Barbara turned toward her like a queen addressing a peasant. "You need to move your vehicle immediately. You're violating HOA rules." Sarah stayed calm. "I'm a registered nurse. I'm in the middle of providing medical care. I'll be done in half an hour." Barbara's face turned red. "Rules are rules. Move it now, or I'll call a tow truck." "Barbara," I said firmly, "there's an exception in the HOA bylaws for medical professionals. You can't tow her." But she wasn't listening. She spun on her heel, dialing her phone as she stormed away. 15 minutes later, the sound of a tow truck's beeping echoed through my window. I limped outside as fast as my back would let me. A burly driver was hooking up Sarah's car, and there stood Barbara, arms crossed, wearing a smug grin like she'd just caught a criminal. "Stop!" I yelled. "That vehicle is here for medical care." The driver looked at me uncertainly. "Lady said it's commercial." "It's not," I said, handing him a printed copy of the HOA bylaws I'd kept, because I knew Barbara would pull something like this. Section 12.3, medical care providers are exempt from parking restrictions. The driver squinted at it, nodded, and started unhooking the car. "He's right. I can't tow this." Barbara snatched the paper, scanning it furiously. "This must be outdated," she barked. "It's been there for years," I said calmly. The driver hopped into his truck and drove off, leaving Barbara fuming like a kettle about to explode. "This isn't over," she hissed, storming away. I should have known she meant it, because when Sarah came back 2 days later, Barbara was waiting, sitting across the street in a lawn chair with binoculars and her clipboard like she was guarding Fort Knox. The moment Sarah parked, Barbara marched over, heels stabbing the pavement. "I reviewed the bylaws again," she announced proudly. "Healthcare workers are exempt from the commercial rule, but not from the visitor parking time limit, 4 to 5 minutes. Your sessions last an hour. That's a violation." I just stared at her. "Barbara, are you seriously timing her visits?" "Rules are rules," she said, savoring every word. 15 minutes over is still a violation." Sarah spoke up, steady as ever. My patient's recovery depends on completing the session. Cutting it short could harm his healing. Barbara smirked. Not my problem. 4 to 5 minutes, or I'm calling the tow. We went inside, trying to ignore her shadow outside the window. But exactly 40 minutes later, the doorbell rang again. 5 minutes left. Barbara sang, tapping her watch like she was counting down to a rocket launch. That was my breaking point. Barbara, this is harassment. I snapped. You're interfering with medical care. That's illegal. She glared at me. I'm simply enforcing the rules everyone agreed to. Then you might want to read the law, not your clipboard. I shot back. Sarah finished the session, but as soon as she stepped outside, Barbara called the tow truck again, right in front of us. That's when Sarah calmly said something that made Barbara falter for the first time. Interfering with prescribed medical care is a criminal offense. I've documented every incident, including this one. Barbara hesitated, but then scoffed. You can't threaten me with your fancy paperwork. Oh! But she had no idea what was coming, because Sarah really had been documenting everything, videos, photos, time logs, and all. And the next confrontation would end Barbara's little reign once and for all. The calm before the storm lasted exactly 4 days. That Monday morning, I thought maybe Barbara had finally realized she was out of line. I was wrong. When Sarah pulled up for her next visit, Barbara was already waiting, this time with backup. 2 other HOA board members stood beside her like bodyguards. As Sarah stepped out of her car, Barbara moved to block her path. You're trespassing on HOA property, Barbara snapped. Sarah frowned. This is my patient's private driveway. Barbara squared her shoulders. You're disrupting the community's order. Leave now. Then, unbelievably, Barbara shoved her. It wasn't a tap or a nudge. It was a full push to the shoulders. That was it. From inside, I saw everything. My heart pounded as I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. I need to report an assault, I told the dispatcher. The HOA president just pushed my healthcare nurse and blocked her from entering my home. While we waited, Sarah, ever the professional, held her ground and hit record on her phone camera. The 2 board members looked horrified. Barbara, stop, one whispered. This isn't worth it. But Barbara didn't listen. I'm doing my job, she shouted. She's violating the rules. I stepped outside, fury surging through the pain in my back. Barbara, the police are on their way. You assaulted a nurse and interfered with medical care. Leave. My property. For a second, she froze. You can't call police over HOA rules. I didn't, I said coldly. I called because you broke the law. When the officers arrived minutes later, the situation flipped instantly. Sarah showed them her video footage. The officers' expressions hardened as they watched. One said, turning to Barbara, you're being placed under arrest for simple assault and interference with medical care. Barbara's jaw dropped. What? I'm the HOA president. That title doesn't make you above the law, the officer replied. And just like that, the clipboard queen was led away in handcuffs, her clipboard left lying in the grass. The neighborhood watched in stunned silence as a police car pulled away. Some neighbors even clapped quietly from their porches. Barbara was charged with simple assault and interfering with medical care, the latter a felony. She made bail, but the judge issued a restraining order. She couldn't come within 50 feet of me or Sarah. A week later, Oakwood Heights held an emergency HOA meeting. Barbara walked in looking nothing like her old self, hair messy, blouse wrinkled, the arrogance gone. The board voted unanimously to remove her as president. You can't do this to me, she whispered, voice breaking. I built this community. But no one spoke up for her. The gavel came down, sealing her fate. And just like that, the reign of Bobzilla was over. These days, Oakwood Heights is peaceful again. Sarah still stops by sometimes, just to check on me. No clipboard queen in sight, no tow trucks lurking nearby. And every time I look out at my driveway, I smile. Because sometimes karma doesn't knock softly. Sometimes it rings a doorbell with a clipboard